Alert: two deputies in Los Angeles now expected to survive after being shot in the head in an ambush that was caught on camera. The sheriff's office says protesters then blocked the entrance and exit at the hospital where the deputies were taken, yelling, "We hope they die." Here to react is our panel of police chiefs from New Jersey, Manchester Township Police Chief Lisa Parker, Miami Police Chief Georgia Colina, and Detroit Police Chief James Craig. And we'll start with you, Chief Craig. Your reaction to this series of events. I don't remember ever hearing the emergency room blocked and a hospital being protested in real time.
You know, Brian, this is absolutely a new low. Sadly, I'm not surprised. There are some that's part of this anarchist movement that spew hate. They incite violence. And so now taking it to the level of blocking emergency and entrances to a hospital for others that might need immediate medical attention is horrible. I got to tell you, the escalation of violence towards our men and women in uniform, I've not seen it like this in 44 years in this business.
How does this happen? How is there not a fear of killing a police officer and getting caught, Jorge Colina?
Well, you know, I think people are rationalizing everything. And when you think about what happened there in LA County, the fact that you have two officers sitting in a car, they're ambushed, they're shot for no reason other than wearing a uniform. Then you show up at a hospital and you chant, "We hope you die," while you block the entrance to the hospital, depriving people of medical services. It's such a lack of humanity. And by the way, that has nothing to do with politics or you seeking social justice or reforms. That's just hate being exhibited. And honestly, it should be denounced by everyone.
Well, I think part of the problem, Chief Parker, over in Miami, but you might have it there, but definitely in Los Angeles, you cut $150 million out of the budget, and you indicate that a lot of these police officers are murderers. I mean, you're setting the table and putting gasoline on a fire.
Well, that's a good point, Brian. And first and foremost, I want to send prayers to the family and to the deputies. And it's so good news to hear that they're doing well. That's first and foremost. And I'm sure that PD out there, it has shaken it to its core, because I know we've felt it here in New Jersey as well. And when you talk about defunding or just reducing police budgets, you can't expect police officers to be everywhere all the time doing everything. But again, look at this. We're over 100 days of rioting. When do we say enough is enough? When do we let businesses go back to doing business? Think about just even here in New York City. Our families, we would have been in New York multiple times. We don't go to New York now, and I wouldn't suggest anybody going there. It's hurting businesses. People are leaving. When does America say enough is enough? And my thoughts is it's in the polls in November.
Remember, over 100 CEOs wrote a letter to the mayor of New York and said, clean up the city, sanitation's down, it's a mess, and then make it crime-free the way it was. And the mayor's answer was, oh, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. Unbelievable. Let's go to Chief Craig. I see that right after this happened, they went right over to the protest encampment, one of the many tent cities in Los Angeles, and they immediately cleaned it out. As horrific as this is this an opportunity for the LAPD to get back on the offense?
Absolutely. You know, I spent 28 years in LA, and it's horrible with the stories that I hear about, just in some instances, the inaction. I get calls from union representatives there each and every day. It's a great city, but to see this happen is just so unacceptable. And I really like what Lisa said. You know, when you talk about allowing this kind of activity to continue, we need to stand as one. The community here in Detroit has spoken loudly. They don't want it here. They want some of these protesters to leave. Not all of them. We've had over 100 days. By and large, most of it has been peaceful. But there have been instances where they became aggressive, whether it was through an arrest or where they attacked our officers. But this must end, and we have to stand together, link arm in arm, and say, these are our city streets. This is our home. It's time for this to end.
Chief Kalina, you know what I'm wondering, too? You want the protest to end, but it's over 100 days in Portland. You know what I heard? We're going to stop allowing the policemen and women to use tear gas. Is that the help you need?
Yeah, I've seen that, and I know that Jim has had to deal with that up in Michigan, where they literally passed legislation, or rather an injunction, saying you can't use shields, tear gas, less than lethal. And I think what people don't realize is that the very reason why you have those tools is to defend yourself, number one, but really so you don't have to put your hands on someone and potentially harm them. The idea is that you can allow people to disperse peacefully without having that conflict and that contact.
Right.
And yet we keep seeing people want to push the other way.
Right.
So it gets worse. People get more aggressive. They become more brazen. They break more laws. And then somehow the response to that is, let's be more lax.
Right.
I don't understand what the electeds are thinking, but it's disturbing to watch the trend.
Chief Parker, you know what the trend is? Because the police have been disempowered, because the protesters are blowing off steam, people are taking this into their own hands. And they're upset at maybe sometimes Trump supporters or others who are for law and order are coming in because the cops aren't allowed to do their job. We're seeing that in Portland. We're seeing that in Seattle.
Well, I support, again, what all the chiefs on the panel have said, and particularly just across the nation, it's time to take our cities back. It's time to stand up. It's time for Silent America, the silent majority, to speak up, to stand up, and to support local law enforcement.
Right. To help you men and women not to do it themselves. That's clear. We don't want a Charles Bronson situation.
That's correct.
Yep. Thanks so much for your insight. I wish it was under better terms, but maybe this is a turning point to let policemen and women be law enforcement again.